My son called me his backup retirement plan after 5 months of freeloading on my couch. Hi, I'm Caleb, 45, divorced, ER nurse, and 3 weeks ago, I told my 25-year-old son to pack his things and move out after he called me his backup retirement plan. Yeah, that actually happened. Let me rewind 72 hours before the eviction notice. It was a Thursday night. I'd just come off a 14-hour shift at the hospital, blood, broken ribs, a dude who tried to eat his own gauze, the usual. I walked into my house and the first thing I noticed? No dinner. Not even a crust of bread. Not that my son, Jordan, cooks. But would it kill the guy to microwave a frozen lasagna or, I don't know, make sure there's beer in the fridge? Instead, he sprawled on the couch, my couch, that I financed after my divorce, wearing pajama pants and eating flaming hot Cheetos like it's a sport. The TV is blasting some Twitch streamer yelling about digital swords or whatever. I walk past him, trying not to breathe in the nuclear orange cloud he's creating, and head to the kitchen. Dishes piled like a Greek tragedy. Trash overflowing. I blink, thinking maybe I'm hallucinating from sleep deprivation. Nope, just neglect. Hey, I say, half out of breath, half annoyed. You mind doing the trash sometime before raccoons move in? Jordan doesn't look up, just goes, chill, dude, I got you tomorrow. Tomorrow has been his favorite word for 3 months. Tomorrow he'll clean. Tomorrow he'll job hunt. Tomorrow he'll be an adult. But tomorrow never comes, and I'm not just quoting Annie. I sit down with a granola bar and half a banana, the only edible things I could find, and he suddenly chuckles like he remembered something hilarious. Oh, by the way, he says, licking cheese dust off his fingers. Me and Cam were talking, and I told him, my dad's basically my backup retirement plan, so I'm chillin'. I stared at him. I genuinely thought I misheard. You're what? He repeated it. Slower. Louder. Like he was proud. My retirement plan, Pops. Like worst case scenario, I'll always have you. You're like my safety net. OG for a 1K, you know? I didn't throw the banana, but I thought about throwing the banana. Instead, I got up, walked out to the porch, and stared at the stars for a full 20 minutes while rage quietly pickled my insides. That night, I lay in bed thinking about every hour I'd worked, every weekend I skipped dating just to make sure we had a roof, food, health insurance. I thought about his mother, who bailed when he was 10, and all the times I covered for that too. And I realized something brutal. He didn't see me as a father anymore. He saw me as a paycheck with a Netflix subscription, and that was going to change. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of Jordan blending a smoothie at full volume like he was trying to wake the dead, or his father, who had worked a double shift and gotten 4 hours of sleep. I came downstairs and there he was, shirtless, dancing to some TikTok remix, protein shake in one hand, phone in the other. I stared at him the way a cop stares at a raccoon holding a vape pen. Just a lot of confusion and low-key despair. He looked up, grinned. Morning, legend. Legend? My guy, I'm not a Greek god. I'm your exhausted, undercaffeinated dad who just realized he raised a man-child. I need to talk to you, I said, still in scrubs from the night before. Can it wait? I've got a stream collab with Cam in like 20. No. Sit. He flopped onto a stool at the counter, still grinning like this was a joke. I'm serious, I said. What you said last night, that I'm your retirement plan. That's not funny. He rolled his eyes. Dude, it was a joke. You haven't paid rent in 5 months. You don't cook, clean, or contribute in any meaningful way to this house. You treat me like an ATM and a maid, and now you're telling your friends I'm your retirement strategy? Jordan blinked. Okay, well, you're blowing this way out. I'm not done. He shut up, finally. I took a deep breath. You have 30 days. 30. After that, I expect you to be out. Find a job. Find an apartment. Grow the hell up. He laughed. I kid you not, he laughed. You're not serious. I've never been more serious. I'm not doing this anymore, Jordan. I raised you. I supported you. I gave you everything I had. And now I want my house back. I want my life back. He looked stunned, like I just told him I was selling him to pirates. You can't just kick me out, man. I'm your son. Exactly, I said. You're my son, not my dependent, not my fallback plan, not my emotional leech. And I'm not going to let you coast through your 20s while I drain my savings feeding you cereal and covering your gas. You're being dramatic. No, I'm being a parent. For the first time in a while. He stood up so fast the stool clattered. This is insane. Write it down if it helps. 30 days. He stormed off to his room, slammed the door, probably fired up his group chat to complain about his tyrant father who expects him to pay rent. I didn't care. Well, I did. But I cared more about finally drawing the line I should have drawn 3 years ago. 3 days into the countdown, things got weird. Not dramatic, not explosive, just Cold War weird. Jordan and I started living like hostile roommates. He stopped speaking to me, unless absolutely necessary. I caught him rage-mopping the kitchen at 2 a.m., while muttering about boomer energy and emotional eviction. The mop was dry. I ignored it. What I couldn't ignore was the sudden burst of productivity. On day 4, I came home to find Jordan at the dining table with his laptop open, wearing actual pants and not gym shorts. He had a Word doc titled Cover Letter Draft and 3 tabs open to job listings. For a second, I thought I was hallucinating. "Don't say anything," he said, not looking up. "You'll ruin it." Fair. That weekend, he did his own laundry, voluntarily. I watched him carry it upstairs like he was training for a triathlon. It was surreal. Then he made an omelet the next morning and offered me half. "Did you poison this?" I asked, half joking. "Don't flatter yourself," he replied. "You're not worth the extra planning." Okay, progress, but with sass. Then came the turning point. Day 7. I was in the garage, digging through a bin of old camping gear, when I found a shoebox labeled Dad Stuff. Inside, birthday cards he'd made me in elementary school, a drawing of me holding his hand next to a stick figure house, a Father's Day coupon for 1 free back massage that I had never redeemed. I sat on the floor and cried. Not big, dramatic sobs. Just a quiet grief for the version of my son that used to think I was the center of his universe. For the version of me that still hoped he'd get there again. That night, I left the box on his bed. Didn't say anything. Didn't have to. The next morning, he came downstairs early. Like before noon early. I was sipping coffee. He sat across from me, cleared his throat. "Thanks for the box," he said. "You kept all that," I said. "I didn't know." "Yeah, I didn't forget who you are, Dad. I just..." He stopped. "What?" He looked up. I didn't want to admit I was failing, so it was easier to act like I didn't care. I nodded slowly. "That makes 2 of us." We sat in silence. Then he asked, "If I get a real job, if I actually try this time, would you write me a reference?" I sipped my coffee, then looked him dead in the eye. "I'll write it the day you start acting like a man instead of pretending to be one." He nodded. Didn't even flinch. Fair enough. Day 10. He shaved. I walked into the kitchen and nearly dropped my coffee mug. Jordan was clean-shaven, wearing a collared shirt and slacks. He looked like, well, someone applying for a job, not someone live-streaming Fortnite until 3 a.m. in a ramen-stained hoodie. He was standing by the mirror, rehearsing interview answers. My greatest weakness? Probably being too passionate about productivity. Then he saw me and flushed. "Shut up." I didn't say anything. "You were thinking it." "Fair." "Interview?" I asked, leaning on the counter. "Yeah. Marketing assistant. Downtown. Pays like crap, but it's full-time. With benefits." I raised an eyebrow. "You know that's a real job, right? Not a TikTok internship?" He rolled his eyes, but I saw it. The nervous pride behind his sarcasm. He actually wanted this. An hour later, he left. And for the first time in years, I watched my son walk out the door looking like he belonged in the world. Like he had a place to be. Like he had purpose. While he was gone, I cleaned the living room, mostly to keep myself from pacing. I found one of his notebooks on the coffee table, the one he used for doodling memes. But inside, budget calculations, rent estimates, a list of apartment viewings. One entry circled in red, "Ask Dad for a cosign." I laughed, then immediately stopped laughing. I was flattered and terrified and a little insulted all at once. When he came home, I didn't have to ask. He walked in, dropped his keys, and said, "They offered me the job on the spot." I blinked. "Seriously?" "They said they liked my energy." He paused. "I think they mean I'm just desperate enough to work hard. Welcome to the workforce." He grinned. "I start Monday, and I already scheduled a tour of a 1-bedroom tomorrow." Something swelled in my chest. Not quite pride, not yet, but something adjacent. Like pride's cautious cousin. "You'll need furniture," I said. "Yeah, well, I was thinking maybe I could take the futon from the guest room." I nodded. "Done." He started to leave, then turned back. "Hey, thanks for not letting me coast." "You're welcome." and don't get used to it." He smirked and disappeared into his room. Later that night, I walked past his door and heard him on the phone. "Yeah, man. I got the job. No, for real. And my dad? Dude's intense. But I think he saved my life." I didn't cry, but I did pour myself a whiskey. Because damn if that wasn't the first time I thought this might actually work. By day 14, the vibe in the house had completely shifted. Jordan was up by 8 a.m. every day, no alarm needed. He made his own coffee. He even asked me how I liked mine once, and then made a pretty decent attempt at it the next morning. I mean, it tasted like burnt disappointment, but hey, it was a gesture. On Sunday, he packed a lunch for the week. A whole week. Tupperware lined up like little soldiers in the fridge. I stared at it like I was looking at a Bigfoot sighting. The man made quinoa. Quinoa. Then came the moving news. "Hey," he said, halfway through spreading almond butter on toast. I signed the lease. I stopped mid-sip. "Already?" "Yeah. It's not huge. 1 bedroom. 3rd floor, no elevator, but it's mine. Move-in's next Saturday." That hit me harder than I thought it would. "3rd floor," I said. "You're gonna have fun carrying that futon. You helping or just narrating the struggle?" "Helping, but I'm gonna narrate while I do it." He laughed. That whole week flew by. He came home every night wiped out, but kind of glowing. He hated the job. Naturally, marketing grunt work isn't glamorous, but he did the job. And he started saving money. Real money. We made a spreadsheet together, and he didn't even roll his eyes once. He even paid me $300 toward his missed rent. "It's not everything," he said, "but I'll get there." That was the moment. Right there. I didn't say anything, but it hit me like a sucker punch. Not the money. The ownership. The accountability. And then Saturday rolled around. Move-out day. We loaded up his friend's beat-up pickup with the futon, his gaming chair, obviously, 2 duffel bags, and a suspiciously large box labeled essential oils and survival snacks. It took 3 trips, 1 pulled muscle, and a near-death experience on the 3rd floor stairs, but we did it. Jordan's apartment was tiny, kind of ugly, and smelled faintly like someone's failed incense business, but it was his. When I set the last box down, he looked around and said, "Feels weird." "Yeah," I said. "Weird's good." He nodded, then awkwardly hugged me. He'd always been a one-armed pat-on-the-back hugger, but this one lingered. "Thanks," he said into my shoulder. "For pushing me. For not giving up." I squeezed tighter. "I never gave up. I just got tired of waiting for you to show up." He pulled back, eyes glassy. "I'm here now." "Yeah," I said. "You are." As I walked down those 3 flights of stairs alone, I realized something I hadn't felt in a long time. Relief. Real, bone-deep, satisfying relief. My kid was out. On his own. Messy, nervous, unprepared, but out there. And for the first time in 25 years, I got to go home to an empty house and turn on the TV without hearing Twitch screaming in the background. Bliss. The silence hit different. That first night alone, I sat in the living room with a beer, watching an actual adult drama. No cartoon avatars, no yelling, no controllers clacking. Just quiet dialogue and full-volume dignity. And I thought, this is heaven. Then I went to bed and realized something else. He took the spare toilet paper. Day 2 of empty nest life, I started noticing little things missing. Half my Tupperware, my spare phone charger, my second-best hoodie. Jordan had looted me like a settlement in Fallout. I texted him, "Hope your new place has good Wi-Fi. And you're welcome for the toilet paper." He replied, "Consider it back rent. Also, your hoodie is mine now. It smells like victory." Little brat. But the jokes softened the edges. Throughout the week, we texted more than we had in years. Not about money or chores, just random stuff. He'd send me pics of failed meal preps. How do you make rice crunchy after it's cooked? Or ask where the breaker box was. Is it bad if the microwave turns off when I use the blender? And slowly, we fell into a new rhythm. One night, he called me out of the blue. "Hey, I was thinking, maybe I could come by next weekend? Like for dinner?" My heart did a little skip. Not because I missed him yelling at Call of Duty, but because he wanted to come back as a guest, not a dependent. "Sure," I said. "You bringing anything?" Does sarcasm count? Only if it comes with garlic bread. Saturday came. He showed up on time, holding a 6-pack and a frozen lasagna like some kind of reformed sitcom character. The place smelled like cleaning supplies, not sweat and stale popcorn, and he actually complimented it. "You've been dusting," he said, narrowing his eyes. "You've been noticing," I shot back. Over dinner, he told me about work. His boss was a micromanager. His coworker printed memes of office quotes and taped them to the bathroom stall. He hated the job, but he didn't complain. He just talked about it like someone in it. Like a person with stories, not excuses. And then he dropped this. So, I met someone. I raised an eyebrow. Is this like someone human? Yes, Dad. Her name's Nikki. She works at the cafe across from my office. We've gone out twice. Twice as in twice and ghosted? Or twice and... He smirked. Twice, and I'm seeing her tomorrow. Proud of you. For managing both rent and romance. You're basically a superhero now. We laughed. And for a second, it felt like old times, only better. Because for the first time, the weight wasn't just on me. He was carrying some of it too. By month 2, Jordan had transformed from the dude who once confused W2 with R2D2 into someone who actually had his life together. Mostly, he started meal prepping consistently, bought a vacuum, called me to ask how renter's insurance worked, then actually got it. I joked that he was 3 spreadsheets away from becoming a dad himself. He responded, "Don't curse me like that." Then, 2 weeks later, he asked me to meet Nikki. "I know it's soon," he said, "but she keeps asking about you. And she's real, Dad. Like, someone I could see long-term." So we did dinner. And Nikki was, how do I put this? Way too cool for my son. Warm, funny, smart. Wore those boots that make you think she could either run a poetry club or win a bar fight. She brought wine. Jordan brought that same nervous smile he used to wear before piano recitals. "So, you're the famous Caleb," she said, smiling. "I don't know about famous. More like exhausted." "Well, thanks for raising him. He's kind of a catch." Jordan turned beet red. I enjoyed it immensely. After dinner, while Nikki was in the bathroom, Jordan leaned over and whispered, "You like her?" "I do," I said. "And more importantly, I like you around her. You're better." He smiled. Not cocky, not defensive, just grateful. That night, as I was cleaning up, I opened the dishwasher and found all the plates loaded correctly. I stared for a full 10 seconds before whispering, "Who is this man?" Then came the real moment. A week later, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside, a handwritten note on lined notebook paper. "Dad, I know we joke a lot, but I wanted to write this down so you'd know I mean it. I was a mess. Entitled, lazy, and completely blind to what you were giving me. Your time, your energy, your whole damn life. And instead of thanking you, I called you my backup plan. I'm sorry. I get it now. Life is hard, and showing up for it every day? That's harder. You showed up for me every single day, even when I didn't deserve it. I don't want to be your burden anymore. I want to be your partner. I want you to know that if you ever need anything, help with the house, a ride to the hospital, someone to split a pizza with, you've got me. Not because I owe you, because I love you." Jordan. I sat there, holding that letter, and cried for a solid 10 minutes. Not because I was sad, because somewhere between eviction threats and quinoa prep, my son had become a man. 6 months after I gave my son 30 days to get out, he invited me to his new place for dinner. He'd upgraded to a slightly bigger apartment. This one had actual counter space, a couch that didn't look like it had survived a frat house fire, and a framed poster that wasn't ironic. Nikki answered the door with flour on her nose and a glass of wine in hand. "He's cooking," she said, smirking. "I made him watch 3 YouTube videos about pasta." Jordan emerged from the kitchen wearing an apron that said "Kiss the chef," or "Don't. I'm just here for the food," and holding a steaming bowl of fettuccine that looked suspiciously edible. "I'm sorry," I said, eyeing it. "Who are you, and what have you done with my son?" He grinned. "Character development." Over dinner, we talked about everything. His job, Nikki's gallery plans, the nightmare of assembling IKEA furniture. It wasn't heavy. It wasn't awkward. It was easy. Natural. Like we'd done the hard stuff and earned this part. Then, while clearing the table, he said, "So, I've been thinking. That's always dangerous." "No, seriously. I was thinking about what you said. About me being your retirement plan." I raised an eyebrow. And he looked sheepish. "You were right. That was garbage. But I was scared. I didn't know who I was without you holding everything up." I nodded. "I know. But now, I'm building something. Slowly. Imperfectly. But it's mine." He pulled out a small envelope from his pocket and handed it to me. Inside, a check for $1,000. "I've been saving. Paying you back for the rent I missed." It's not everything yet, but it's a start. I stared at the check like it was a winning lottery ticket, not because of the money, but because of what it meant. Thank you, I said. You didn't have to. Yeah, he said, but I wanted to. I tucked the check into my wallet and smiled. Guess I'll put this toward my actual retirement plan. You know, the one with compound interest and no hot Cheetos stains. We laughed. When I left that night, Jordan walked me to my car, just like I used to do for him at school drop-offs. Only this time, he stayed behind. He was the one waving goodbye. Driving home, I thought about that night I told him to get out. How angry I was. How scared I was that I'd broken something between us that couldn't be fixed. But I hadn't broken it. I'd cracked it open just enough for both of us to grow. He was never my retirement plan. He was my son. And that was more than enough.